Hello everybody, this is Jamboard Reimagining Collaboration on a Google Whiteboard. Please make sure that you have downloaded the Jamboard app so you can follow along with us. My name is Joanna Funkhauser. You can find me on Twitter at FunkhauserJo. I am an AP Physics teacher at Garland High School, and I'm also a Google Certified Educator Level 1 and 2. This is a I3 Innovation in Instruction webinar. With me, you will find Thaddeus Komorowski. He will be managing the chat. You can find him on Twitter at trkomorow. He is also a graphic designer at Garland High School and an Innovation in Instruction team member. Jamboard is a great space for collaboration. It's the Google version of a whiteboard that you can share and collaborate from different spaces, different devices with many other options in addition to your regular typical whiteboard. So I would call it a whiteboard on steroids. Before we can start with the ins and outs for Jamboard, I would like to show you a quick trick to group students. So I am going to open a brand new Google Sheets. What I'm talking about is an add-on. This add-on is called Flippity. You can get to the bottom of the add-ons list in the Get Add-ons little section and look for Flippity. Once you have found Flippity in this section, you will see that it says free. In my case, it appears green because I already have it downloaded in my laptop, but for you, we'll say free. Click on it and you will be installing it. Once you have it, go back to add-ons, go into Flippity, and pick a template. It will open this little window. Flippity has many different games and options for things that you can do. In our case, we're very much interested on this number 4, Flippity Random Name Picker. I am going to use the template. It will take just a couple of seconds. Once it opens this window, you will see that it says Publish. Make sure that you're publishing this form because that is the only way it will be working. So once I publish it, it will be available for me to go and pick a name or make the grouping. So here's the form. You will find all these cells with names of different students. Well, you can get your roster inserted on this space and then voila, you will have your list. So how it is used, this is really, really simple. By the way, I would advise to use one spreadsheet per class in such a way that you don't have to be changing the names back and forth. So once you have the one specific roster in one specific spreadsheet for this class, you will go back in add-ons, go back into the Flippity, and it will say flippity.net URL. Click on the flippity.net URL. And at this point, you want to click on either the long or the short link. This will take you to this space where you can do different things. The first one is you can select a random name by clicking on that little triangle on the top. So after you click on it, it will stop after several turns into a name of a student. It is a random student, so you can use it to choose who would be participating on a specific activity. If you want to do the grouping, here's what you will do. Go to the top. There is groups of 2, groups of 3. It is very much customizable. So I'm going to say groups of 3. You can always go into this shuffle students around until you find the best configuration for you. You can also do a certain number of teams. Okay, so this is how I would do my team making, only if you don't have a special configuration for your teams or a special need. If it's something that you need to do pretty quick, this is your solution. Okay, so once we have seen what we can do with Flippity, We're going to start with the collaboration on the whiteboards. So what can we do on whiteboards? They are so versatile. You can do so many different things. It's open to your imagination. But something very important for our students is that collaboration multiplies the success of the kids. They will be dividing the task and learning to work with each other and get along together, which is very important skill for their future. So what is exactly what you can do with Jamboard? What are the uses? Well, let me show you just a little bit. Let's go into the Jamboard app. So once I go to the Jamboard app, if you can see, this is the Jamboard, what you have downloaded. It looks like a little J that is made up of yellow circle and some orange squares. So we are going to click on the Jamboard and you are going to see something that looks kind of like this. If you have never used Jamboard before, this will be a gray empty space. In my case, well, I have done a few things already with Jamboard, so it is not empty anymore. So as you can see, we can use Jamboard as a little bit like a presentation tool in such a way that you can start with the Jamboard and get your students to work in that one Jamboard that you set up. If you see the plus sign on the bottom right hand corner, you can tap on that one and you will have two options. You can create a new jam or you can join a jam. If your students are getting into a jam that you as a teacher created, then they have to join a jam and use a code that you will give them so they can join your jam. Otherwise, they will be creating a new jam. It depends on how you want to manage the activity. So once you open this Jamboard, several things that we can do. We can use it as a presentation tool or we can brainstorm. In this case, I asked a few teachers, what would you do with a whiteboard? And this is what they came up with. They will use it as a formative assessment, or they use it for lab work, report of findings, show math calculations, visual thinking. Sometimes they give instructions. Well, in Jamboard, you can do that and much more. You can also do thinking maps, graphing, and chart making. Everything that you can do on a regular whiteboard, you can do on a Jamboard, but with many extensions and other things that you can do. For example, this is what I did last time. I told my students to make teams of 3 students, and they will have a team per each one of these frames, and they had a task. So right now I'm just putting a team 1 and team 2 little post-it on the corner so you can see what would be to have different students doing different things on each one of these frames and working all in collaboration in this same shareable space. So something else that you can do is give instructions. In this case, I'm giving instructions by putting these post-it notes on this screen. Another option for activities, you can get them to do some visual thinking. Maybe they would be working on graphing or sketching. If you are a math teacher or a science teacher, graphing is pretty interesting. And if you notice, we have some backgrounds that would be very useful for us. The sketching for the art teachers is pretty interesting also. Thinking maps are my favorite things to do. So your students can express their thinking, they can come up with ideas and collaborate, and everybody could be working on the same screen with no problem from their own devices. Lab report findings. That is great. That's also something else that we can do. Now, if you notice, there are many things that are possible in this Jamboard. One of the main things, or the things that I am attracted the most, is the fact that we have handwriting and shape recognition. That is really, really a fun thing. Something that you definitely cannot do in a regular whiteboard. You can have different paint features, marking options, you have different backgrounds, you can add pictures. icons, you have access to your Google Drive and your browser. So definitely this is putting a whiteboard much in the future. Now just imagine we can add as many frames as we need. But if I tap on the top of that frame, I can add one more. I can have that one completely white for me to start all over. Something important is how can we add more or duplicate or delete these frames? Well, if you gently slide up or down, if you slide up, you can duplicate it. If you slide down, you can delete that frame. Now, in those diagonal lines, you can have a background. The background could be just dots or maybe graphing paper or college rule paper, but we also have a solid background. At this point, there are just only two, the blue and the black, but it definitely will give a different aspect to their creation. I am going to select the graphing paper because I think it is a very useful way to have all our writing and everything pretty well organized and measure our space. Now, something pretty important. If you pinch out, you can get the screen to expand, and definitely writing would not be a problem for your students because we know that many of them will not have a stylus at hand. So expanding the screen will get them to write in a little bit smaller space, managing their space a little bit better. So let's get going with demonstrating how the Jamboard works. Now that we have seen that is so useful and you can do so many things, let's see what else we can do and how we can do it. Number one, go to the corner. On the three dots, you have different options. You know that the three dots are like magic. You have always many more things that you can do. So you will have a way to rename your file, remove it, as in I'm going to delete everything, add people. Here's where the collaboration and the magic happens. So add the people that you want to collaborate with you. Share via Jam code. So if I tap there, you will find a code. And this code expires, so eventually you will have to recycle it and give a new one. But your students, if you want them to access this specific Jamboard, you have two options. You can either put it in Google Classroom. That would be a very easy way to share the Jamboard. Or number two, you can tell them open your Jamboard app and type the code, which is this set of blue letters that you see on the screen. Once you have shared the Jamboard, then they will be able to work on the space just like you do. Something else that we can do, and is pretty interesting, is we can share the Jam as a PDF. So once they have worked all together, they can share the entire Jam as a PDF, or they can share just specifically this one frame as an image, as if it was a picture. So they can submit it into Google Classroom if is that what you wish them to do. Okay, let's take a look to the tools. We have several things here on the left side. Mainly you have, okay, let's go back there. If you are in a desktop computer, you will see only a couple of these tools. Everything else is you will only find it on the app. And this is why using Jamboard on iPads or cell phones is so wonderful, because you have all these different tools that you can use. So number one, we have different writing utensils. Here we have one that writes very thin, then a little bit thicker. We have a highlighter, and we have an aqua color. Those are different things, different writing utensils that you can use. But also something else that we have, and is really, really interesting, and that's what won for this app to be my favorite, is to use the handwriting recognition. So I am going to write just a word for you to see. Hola. I guess I'm speaking in English and Spanish at the same time. Let me write it correctly. Hello. There you go. That is correct. So Here is where the Jamboard makes that handwriting recognition. Now, if you don't like or you make a mistake, you have to delete it, just toss it to the bottom. That's something we can do. Anyways, so that is the handwriting recognition. After the handwriting recognition, we have the shape recognition. So you can do a triangle or you can do another shape, whatever shape you want. I guess they have the most common shapes. And this will be improving the quality of your work and your students too. Something that is pretty cool is the auto draw. So you can doodle, you can make, I don't know, let's say I'm doing something like this and it will tell what is that you want to draw. Do you want to draw a wave? Is it water? Is it a snake? What is it? And once you determine what it is, then you can make it bigger, make it smaller, you can turn it and put it wherever you want. So creating infographics and those images for showing the thinking that they have is going to be really, really easy. And the quality of the work will be a little bit better. You have your eraser. If you click one more time, there is clear board, so that will be clearing the entire canvas. You also have different colors and a lasso tool. That lasso tool is really fun because if you go around any shape, once you have surrounded that shape, you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. Overall, when you have some other things like traces, like something that you had a handwritten image of some sort or anything that you wrote, you can resize it, you can change the location of it, and that will give you so many options to work. Okay, I'm going to change the color, and there's something else over here. This is a pointer that disappears. I think it is very nice if you're showing things to your students because it gives a little bit of animation, it gives a little bit of life to your work, and that is really fun. Once we get to the next tool, you will see that we have some sticky notes and we have a way to type on the sticky notes and also change the color to any other color that you have on that list and change it from that location to a different, resize it, and it's just a fun with the color and the traces. The plus sign will give you another set of tools. You will see the access to Google Drive, the access to the browser, some pictures, some icons, again your sticky notes, and the camera. So you have many different options for images and information that you can add to your Jamboard. Just take a look. If you go to the Google Drive and you select one of your presentations, it seems like it's not much. It's just a little tiny image that actually cannot be resized. But if you double tap on it, okay, it's telling me no. Let's do it one more time. Yes, there you go. So once it opens up, you can take your slides and put them outside and resize them however you want to do it. So give instructions and put some information that you have already in a Google Slides is really an easy task. Same thing for any other worksheet or PDFs that you have. They are very much working the same way. You can easily just put them in your Jamboard. If you go to the second icon, we will have the browser, and in the browser you can basically do everything that you could do in a Google browser. There are three things that I would like to recommend you for images. Actually, they are icons. One of them is flaticon.com. Flaticon.com has lots of icons that you can use for your work, for your thinking maps, for your infographics. For anything that your students have to create, you have images for it. The nounproject.com is really good for icons too, but the icons are only black and white. Or Ondrawn. Ondrawn.co is a website that is an open source website You have many images of many different topics that you can also use. Let me just show you about that one, because I think that one is it's really fun. So once you find OnDraw, it is actually ondraw.co. That's exactly what it should be, ondraw.co. So click on it. And it is an open source that has many different illustrations. Once you have the illustrations, you can browse it according to the topic that you need, but this is what I like the most. You can change the color that is embedded in that illustration and just color it on whatever color matches whatever you are doing. So that is a pretty nice thing. Let's go back and let me show you flaticon.com, because that is really it's a very good source of images. So flaticon.com is right here. Okay, flat icon. Let's say that we want this icons right here. With flat icon in the noun project, make sure that you are giving credit to the creator, the author of the icon. And to do that, you will have to say this icon was created by and the author name, and then from, and give the link to the website. So whether it is the link to flaticon.com or the link to ondraw.co, but make sure that you are giving that attribution. So we can teach our students also to be creators with responsibilities. Anyways, if you want the icon, you click on it. And I know it's kind of difficult to download a PNG if you're working on your iPad. So the easiest way to do it is going into the scissor that is up here. And once you have the scissor, you will resize that space. And once you have it resized to the size that you want, you say enter, and the image is ready for you to use. Make sure that you are giving those attributions and you will be okay and ready to go. Another way to get pictures is by going into this picture little icon. And let's say that I want to find some birds, and I have all those images, and those images have already the licensing setting in such a way that the images that you see here have the permission for you to use and share and probably even modify. All you have to do is tap on the image that you want to use, and there you go. You're ready to start using that image. So I'm just gonna click and hold and move it around, resize it, change it position, change the size. Some more icons over here so you can give a quick feedback to your students. And the picture addition. So let's say I'm working with this graph. I'm gonna get it right there. And just make sure you're resizing it so you can see it. So working on Jamboard is a really cool thing. It will give you so many options for your students to be creators and not just consumers. So this is very much something that I would like to do, or I do, better said, with my students very often. So this is what we have today on our webinar. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, just let us know. You can find us at Funkhauser Joe and at TR Camaro on Twitter. And please don't forget to complete the form to get the PD hours. Thank you so much, and see you next time.